Hey everyone, let's have a look at the Walt Disney Tribute Camera by Lego Disney. This is set number 43230, contains 811 bricks, retails for $99.99, and this set was provided by the Lego Group for early review. And well, now it's not early anymore, but as you can see, it's like we got ourselves an oversized camera on a very undersized tripod, and I'm hoping that's included there too. Yeah, not too bad. And we got some minifigures on the top. And yes, I'm familiar with all of these. So we got Bambi, Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney, Minnie Mouse, and Dumbo. I have a feeling that everybody's going to try to get these characters here. So I'm glad I got a hold of those. And here's the back. And looks like this is just merely a display piece. And it's got some dimensions here. It's 21 centimeters wide, or 8.5 inches. And it's 37 centimeters tall, or 6.5 inches tall. So, yeah, it's about, did I read that right? 16 inches tall. Well, only way to really find out is see what it looks like in person. Let's start with the minifigures, and no, I don't need the box to remember the names on these. So right in the middle we have Walt Disney. We have Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, Dumbo, and Bambi, and I have a feeling everybody's going to be after the Bambi figure, and these are a nice set of figures at that. And the only one that has a double-sided head is Walt Disney. Even Dumbo, I think, is going to be another figure in everybody's want list. And as you can tell with Walt Disney, he's got a sketch of a drawing of Mickey Mouse. And if it wasn't for him, we'd probably be reviewing more Chima sets. Next, we have this little thing here with some slides, and this does detach from this. We'll take a look at that in a bit. And essentially, that's what this thing here is. It's like to say action. I'm not sure what these things are called. They usually have a timer or something here where they write on these for what scene they're working on. Maybe I need to use that for my YouTube videos, huh? And then we have this little thing here with some slides, like this is a light here or something. Almost looks like an old school viewfinder or a Viewmaster, if anybody remembers those from the 70s and 80s. But if I can shine the camera in there, that's what it looks like. It's got more of a three-dimensional look. And it's just basically different scenes right here. They stacked on top of one another, I guess for the special effects. And all this stuff in here is printed. Now, this doesn't feel too sturdy, so I'll put this back on here and just rest right on those plates with sticks. And that's essentially what this is. Now, on the front of the box, they show that the figures are standing on this, so we're going to simulate that. Put Walt Disney in the middle because he's the king. We'll put Mickey Mouse here, and then we'll get Minnie Mouse, set her there, and then we'll put Bambi here on the left because Bambi's awesome, as well as Dumbo. And yes, I know these two here because I've seen the cartoons, the colorized versions. I think I may have a copy of Bambi in black and white. I don't know. I'll have to check my stash of movie reels, but essentially that's what that is to set our figures on. And here we have the commemorative camera, and it looks really nice, but don't let the looks fool you. We'll get to all that here in a few moments. Got this roll of film here that's just hanging out of it. That's probably how they did it back then. Got our adjustable lens where you can rotate this. And yeah, as you can see, I'm not simulating that, but this thing is very wiggly, so you can rotate the lenses and stuff in here. You got this viewfinder that comes, or I'm not sure what these are called. They keep the shade off the lens, or they keep the sun out of the lens. And we got this little rotating viewfinder thing here. And this does open up here. You have to rotate this. And hold on to this thing because this is very jiggly. Feels like things are going to break, like literally the parts are going to break. This does open up here to reveal Walt Disney's little studio. It's got a seat in there and a little drafting board. We'll take a look at that in an upcoming close-up shot. But as you can see though, I mean like this, and none of this stuff functions. Now this here does make a clicking noise. So it sounds like an old movie projector. I do have one that needs to be restored. Let me just do this. But for some reason there's something wrong with the optics in mine. My real one anyways. But that's essentially what this is. Like I said, none of the stuff on this tripod work. This is just all decorations. Like I thought this thing would rotate. No, this is fixed. You can't rotate this. Or I haven't got anything to work on it yet. It looks almost like a modern camera. Just take this thing off and add some buttons on top. But that's essentially what this is. It's merely just a display piece. Well, we're going to take a closer look. Here's a close-up of this hand crank. And that's how they used to do it back then. They didn't have any servo motors or any automatic stuff in these cameras. There's that film strip. I do have a 35mm video projector, but sadly this is not perforated. I don't think it would work in that. And there's the tripod. It looks like you can just turn these and these will fold in. No, these don't. And you think this base would fold up like a typical one? This is about as far as it goes up. So it looks like it's functional, but it's not. The tripod looks really good. It's just not really practical. And yeah, it looks like it's tilting because it is. And this thing here is not the most sturdiest build in the world. Here we have this right here to adjust this, and this doesn't do anything. It looks like it does. There's a close-up of that little studio area there. And that's it. Kind of dark in there. And I would set Walt Disney in here, but I don't want to press something and have something come off. It feels like everything's going to break. Even closing this, it's kind of wiggly and jiggly. You rotate that back. Yeah. I wish some of the stuff was metallic. Here's that lens right here. This does slide out of the way. Well, I'll have to hold it, but this does rotate right here. And this is by all means not playable at all. It's just meant to be admired. This is more like a mock than anything else. Maybe that's where the batteries go, huh? And here's the top part there with the film. Now these are obviously a lot bigger than what you see here. The one I have is really massive. It takes the big, I think the 12 or the 14-inch reels that go on the top. Really big machine. It needs to be fully restored before I can even use it, but I don't think I will. Imagine me doing a Lego video without sound. Or maybe that's a good thing. But for the most part, it's not too bad. This was a bit of a chore to put together. But for the most part, though, it was an interesting build, but I'll save my opinions for the review. Let's start the review with collaborative build, and at first this set wasn't really collaborative friendly, but upon further building, this piece here is isolated. The tripod is isolated from the camera, except the only thing really connecting them together is this ribbon and two Technic pins in here. So it can be possible up to 3 people can build this. So you could even divide it up in such a way that 2 people can build. One person can build the minifigure and the slides and the tripod, and another individual can build the camera. And that's pretty much what it is there. This 100 thing on here with the tape reels, this is also separate too. So maybe one person can build just this. I'm thinking of, can this be built evenly amongst other members of your group? So it shouldn't be too bad for collaborative build. So it is kind of hidden in there, but you can do it. Now the Walt Disney commemorative camera is merely just a display piece. So this is not a playable model whatsoever. As you saw, we have this area that does open up, but that's it. We do have the slides here. But as far as for play value, it really, you can't. Could you drop this in a city? Not really. I have a feeling everybody's going to be snagging the figures up more than anything. So these are the only thing that you can actually play with down here is the figures. The rest of this is just meant to sit on a shelf. Now we're going to jump into build quality. And as you saw, as well as right now, this is pretty jiggly. And this right here feels like it's a bit fragile in itself. And like I said, this is just a display piece. So build quality, you build it, you set it up, don't want to play with this. Even this right here just feels kind of like it's ready to break apart. So build quality on this is probably fair to below average. That's kind of sad for how this looks. It started off really strong, but it just got flimsy as the build progressed. Now, my build experience, on the other hand, do I dare say it was boring? This build was, there were some parts of it that was pretty interesting, but most of it was dry and boring. And I don't know, I think it was just the colors. And two, like with this viewfinder here, you have to be very careful. I had to struggle with this a little bit. And I think that was the only issue. Some of this other stuff was coming apart. This right here I had maybe one or two issues with. The manual just seemed like they weren't covering a bunch of stuff. So if you do have access to a smart device like a tablet or a phone, get the 3D building guide with this too. You may need it for certain steps like this right here and stuff like that. So it wasn't really indicated very well in the manual. So I feel like that was really degrading my build experience on this. It just seemed rather like I was shortchanged on the build, especially for what this is. It's very jiggly and wiggly. Now, does the set have a potential for mocks? For parts? Yes. I could see somebody probably making a working version of this tripod for maybe to hold a smartphone or a tablet. This is pretty strong in itself. It's just what the camera's attached to. But for mocks, yeah, this is a standalone model. This is actually essentially a mock, so I don't think you need to add any more to it. It's got good pieces for mock value. So my final score on this set is a 7.5 out of 10. It wasn't really exciting to put together. It looks good. It does have some collaborative building to go along with it. But for the most part, though, it's just a display piece. It's meant to sit on a shelf and look really good. So I'm sure for a Walt Disney fan or somebody who's into vintage Walt Disney films and memorabilia, this would look good in a theme. For an average Lego builder, not so much. For somebody like myself, this will probably just get parted out. At least I'm not lying to you. I'll have it on display for a while, but that'll be about it. Now, for the price tag of $99.99 for 811 bricks, this is essentially what you're getting. And although it does have very limited functionality and stuff like that, I feel like it was a bit inflated in price. This is, especially for a non-playable model. But I think the reason being is that everything is printed. I'm sure that this right here is probably a few bucks in itself. And the figures. The slides here are the only printed pieces, I believe, that really with this build. But those right there alone would be kind of worth having. So it is expensive, but at least there's no stickers to fuss with, and it looks finished off. So the price is not too terribly bad for this, for what you're getting. So I'm always looking for builds that are printed with very few stickers. The more stickers, but this was an exception here. Because what dragged this set down, especially in my rating system, it was just the color scheme, and the manual was just, some areas were just hard to follow. But all in all, though, it is a nice build to look at, but that's essentially what it is. It's just a piece to admire. But I want to know what you guys and gals think of the set. Tell me what you feel about it in the comments. Is this something you're interested in buying? Are you interested in just the Bambi figure? I didn't know that this was included, but hey, I'm happy with that. But for $100, I don't know. But let me know.